Congregation, with the Lord's help tonight, we'll once again open His Word and consider a portion of Scripture. Our passage tonight was Hebrews 10, and our text will be Hebrews 10, verse 36. Before I get to the text, it's worth understanding a little bit of the background in which we find ourselves. Hebrews, as many of you, if not all of you know, is a book in which Christ is lifted up as supreme. The author writes to the Christian Hebrews, the Christian Jews, who had left the legalism, the bondage of legalism in Judea and Judaism, and turned to Christ. And they had been tempted to go back to the ceremonies of Judaism, ceremonies of the law, to obey the law for salvation. And the author here labors to show the Hebrews that Christ is the once and for all sacrifice for sin. Christ is supreme. That's really the theme of the book. And so the author goes through all the Old Testament, many of the Old Testament ceremonies, sacrifices, prophets, priests. He talks about the law. He talks about the temple worship. He talks about the temple itself. He talks about the sacrifices. And he says in all these things that Christ is supreme. Christ is greater than all of these things. Don't go back. All of these things in the law were only ever meant to point us to Christ. But now He's come. And that's where we placed our faith. And that's where we need to remain. We need to hold fast to Christ. Well, if you study the epistle to the Hebrews, you'll notice that there's quite a transition in our chapter. Really where we began reading in chapter 10, verse 19.